So I know you all see the title, and I am heavily inspired to talk about this. And this is another, hey, take it from me. I'm going to definitely use myself as an example to a certain extent. But y'all, this is something that I can 1000 admit. Like I know that obviously during my journey of working on my mindset and working on myself, I understand that I was unaware to a lot of my previous behaviors and concepts. But this is something to where I'm working on releasing the resentment that I had for it, like the wanting to like beat up on myself for operating this way. Like this is one thing that I this is where I've gone horribly wrong in numerous aspects of my life. And it's followed me. And I believe that if you're a viewer of mine, you could probably tell, or maybe you're like me and maybe you don't know. And so this is something that I want to share because this can really make or break any relationship. I don't care if it's friends, family, and definitely personal, intimate relationships. And before I get ready to even speak about intimate relationships, I want to go ahead and say, I know that there was a period of time when we were talking about manifestation and me, making manifestation content and like mindset content. And I remember saying very jokingly, but I was like kind of half serious. I remember saying really jokingly, and like y'all felt me at the time, but I'm about to take that back for real. I remember telling you all that I don't believe in manifesting a specific person back. Um, in my own journey and in my own unfoldings, sometimes when you do this kind of work, you start to really realize not only the love that you have for yourself, but the love that you have for others. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this very matter of factly. Sometimes when you do all of this work and you start to realize that you were your own fulfillment this entire time because you have finally reached a point of self-love and self-embrace to where you can really see and appreciate your life for what it is and how you are the center of your own reality. And you start to really see yourself from the outside in, and you start to really observe yourself internally and how you've shaped your own reality just from your thoughts and assumptions. It's something very beautiful that can happen when you work through resistance, when you change and shift your mindset, and when you shift your assumptions. And sometimes when you get led back to self, you might just be led back to the one you love on a very deep level. And I want to make this video because this is something, when I told you all I recently broke through my own resistance in a very near and dear area in my life. I have just realized this probably within the last month, okay? And there is so much goddamn tea, but I'm gonna continue to let the unfolding happen because even I wasn't expecting this realization. And to be honest, now that I've pieced together things in my mindset and how I was previously operating, obviously it all makes sense, especially because remember, I used to operate very like lowly, very negative, right? Yeah, I want to talk about this because this is one of the first things. This is one of the first things that and people start to negatively manifest in your life. And that is knowing and understanding that your assumptions shape your relationships. And I want you guys to grasp this lesson and hold on to it and know it better than I ever have, especially because this is something that I have recently uncovered. And I have recently really been just like letting go like, wow, I can't believe I did that type of emotions around it, because this is a learning experience. And as long as I know and I understand that I was never truly operating from a place of malice or wanting to hurt others, I have peace. But I need to tell you all that your negative assumptions of people are ruining your relationships, whether it's your relationships with family, with friends, with your coworkers, with your boss, with yourself. Okay, if you have negative assumptions about others, you probably have negative assumptions about yourself. and your intimate partners, okay? We don't realize we're doing this sometimes. So a negative assumption, especially if you're a person and you experience like frequent frustration in your day-to-day because of how you're currently operating. So we don't notice that we do this, but have you ever had a day where, let's say you're already feeling irritable, and let's say you're like in the car home, like you're about to drive home, whatever, and you say, oh, I hope my boyfriend took the trash out today, right? And then you get home and he didn't take the trash out. You get pissed. Oh, why didn't he take the fucking trash out? And then you confront him, and then have you ever said words like this to yourself? I knew he wasn't gonna fucking take out the trash. He never takes out the trash. He never does this. He always does this. He never bop. Degrade. Speaking unkindly of, like, he never does this. Your assumption of him is making the version of him show up that way. And while we are not responsible for other people's actions, we are indeed always responsible for how our reality shapes itself and manifests. And I have learned firsthand, unfortunately, and I have finally put a lot of pieces together with how assuming the worst of someone will make that very version of them manifest. You keep assuming the worst of somebody, you keep assuming the most negative things about them, eventually you're going to have no choice but to experience the pure manifestation of the worst version of them. And I cannot stand, honestly, how prevalent it is to have this mindset, especially, if you are a traumatized girly, because to be honest, none of us ever want to attract toxic relationships. We don't. It's not our fault that we don't really know how to feel safe in relationships. It's not really our fault that we don't know how to feel safe sometimes within self and like things like that. So like obviously it's our responsibility to, own that safety and own that trust and have that self-fulfillment, right? Before even dating. But unfortunately, like, let's just go be honest, like a lot of us start dating as early as teenagers. And, I'm just speaking from experience as a person with a highly traumatized background. Like, not only could I have waited to date, I probably should have, but I probably should have really tried to do some of this work before, because to be honest, this mindset work is deeper than any therapy session or counseling session that I've ever had, especially because I've done a lot of this work myself. With just, checking in with therapists and counselors and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, no one knew me like how I knew myself. So even as things were revealed to me and uncovered to me just through me journaling and me processing things day to day and becoming more aware, I literally my mind has been blown. And we get honestly too caught up in the negative stories we tell ourselves, and that includes the negative stories that we tell about other people, right? So how I set that example about you getting all pissed off at your boyfriend because he didn't dump the trash, right? Okay, how often have you not only said he never dumps the fucking trash, he always fucking does this, he never does this, and then how many of you have gotten on the phone with your girlfriends and said, oh well girl, Daquan, he ain't dumped the trash, and you know that motherfucker, he don't never do this, and he don't never do that, and he don't do that, and then the conversation lasts for like an hour or two. So now you have been in a negative spiraling story about the man in your life, your boyfriend, right? Isn't he the love of your life? Don't you love each other, right? Now you have spent hours, 2 to 3, if not more hours, right? Spiraling about this action that you knew was going to happen. Well, I hope you are aware that whenever you say that something's going to happen, it has to play out that way. We speak things into existence. I know you guys have done that where even if let's say somebody really disappoints you. You're like, I knew it. I knew they were going to do this. It has to play out that way because you were already forming negative assumptions. We're always manifesting whether we are aware of it or not, including when we speak against ourselves and against others. Nothing is ever outside of us. Everyone and everything in our life is an extension of us. We are all interconnected through consciousness. So if I'm going to be shitting on my partner, I might as well be shitting on myself. And as a person who used to shit on themselves anyway internally, it's really not that much of a surprise that the behavior went unnoticed, because I got so used to that kind of a constant, like, negative loop, right? And to make these realizations and to break yourself out of that is insane. It's huge. But I do not like how normalized this is, because so many times we get caught up in this every single day. How many times have you gone to work, gotten pissed off with your boss, and then let's say you take an extra long lunch break, and then what are you doing on your lunch break? You're texting your friends, you're bitching about your boss, you're talking about how much you can't stand him, and how much, or her, and how much of a bitch they are, and then that's why I know that they're gonna just be at my desk waiting. And how many times have you had a negative assumption about your boss and say, I know that they're just gonna be at my desk waiting with more work, or they're just gonna give me more work? Or how many of you all have thought against yourself so much to where, I know they're going to make me stay late. I know they're going to make me work late. And Bob, when you get back from that extended work break, there's your boss waiting. Hey, I'm going to need you to finish this big old stack of papers. And hey, I don't give a damn if you got to stay to 6 or 7. Get that shit done. You manifested that. Like, reality plays out to our assumptions and expectations. It has to. It's the law. Okay? It's the law of being. It's the law of attraction. If I am constantly speaking and I'm saying I know, and I'm saying this with conviction, and I'm saying I know, and I'm making all these assumptions, it has to play out that way. It has to. Whether you understand that this is against yourself or not. And then how many times have you stayed late at work when you're upset and you're like pissed off or whatever? How many times have you stayed late, and then in that car ride home, you're on the phone with your girlfriends? Oh, goddamn boss. Next thing you know, you're home, you're tired, you're drained, you're irritated. And then let's say that same boyfriend that you had that didn't dump the trash, well, girl, maybe now he didn't have dinner ready, or he didn't have something ready for you. You know what? I'm fucking tired of this. And then what is your life doing? What is your life doing? That sounds like a negative cycle, right? It sounds like you're kind of like, domino affecting your own life, right? With your words, with your assumptions, right? And they're all negative and they're all against you, because you don't want any of this shit. If you sat with yourself for 2 seconds, you would realize you don't want any of this shit that you're speaking about. Because what are you saying? I can't stand this. I really hate when this. He never does this. My boss always this, okay? And then the fuel of frustration grows, and it has to play out. The more you negatively expect, the more you negatively assume, the more you speak. And I'm saying this because I am a person, like, especially like, even with gossip culture, because like we kind of get like raised in this shit in society. Like, things that are taught to us as normal are honestly things that are taught to our detriment. Like, I'm gonna be real. Like, we all knew what it was like to be teenagers gossiping on the phone. We all knew what it was like to like our boyfriend, but like whole time we passing notes about him behind his back, gossiping to our girls, whether it was good or bad. But we just thought that we were kiki and being girls. So like, okay, ooh, he wore this today. Ooh, let me tell my girl. Little behaviors. But the thing is, it's like when we become adults, and we start to widen our awareness and we begin to live adult lives, we cannot operate that way. We can't, like, to be honest, I barely gossip anymore. Granted, like, if my friends call me, because I am that friend where people can call me and talk to me about everything, right? Like, I will always be here for you. I love you, right? And I do try to give advice to kind of like, redirect conversation or whatever. But as far as downplaying people in their life, what I have even noticed with my own friend group and what I've been doing is, especially if they call me about their partner or something dear in their life, I'm like, well, don't you love him though? Like, do you still want to be with him though? Like, you love him, right? Like, you know he loves you, or is this really the end or something? I try to redirect focus and awareness, because it's like, if they tell me that, hey, yeah, they do love him, they're just frustrated, then we need to redirect the conversation to where it's going to be more conducive to growth, instead of just shitting on this person. Because at the end of the day, like, everybody is an extension of us. And to be honest, like, while, I used to, I am still the friend where everybody can come to, like, but I used to not talk much about myself until things like blew up and came to a head, right? Um, but I didn't realize how even my own personal negative assumptions and negative thought patterns and even resistance to things like relationships, friendships, even family, like love and stuff like that. Like, I don't know how many of you all remembered on my main channel, I mentioned how I've been recently, like, I've been reconnecting with like my extended family. Ever since having my baby, it's been a really big thing to get closer with my family, and it's been awesome, right? But in the, getting closer with extended family and really mending some bridges, honestly, in my life, I found that even though, yes, I did go through things with certain family members in childhood, but unfortunately, I held on to those negative memories. And unfortunately, those negative memories formed negative thoughts and assumptions that I held on to even through adulthood, to where I felt like I could never trust them again. So even that was negatively manifesting because I always had an issue with, coming around, like, doing the family gatherings or like, family reunions and stuff. Like, girl, I used to be the family member. You wouldn't see me, child. You just wouldn't. I wouldn't go around because I had all these negative assumptions. And mind you, I used to think against myself so much. So I'm already like self-conscious for no reason around my own family, thinking that they were going to come against me again, thinking that they were going to do all this, when really we're all just getting older and all of our lives have changed so rapidly and so much. And to where honestly, a lot of us have even passed on, dude. Like, there's so many people in my family who have passed on both sides, to where honestly, even my own family now, like, we don't want anything more than just togetherness. Because now we're all realizing just how precious and valuable time is. And as I've let go of my, previous thoughts and assumptions of them, the more I'm allowing myself to just be in my reality and just exist and like love self. Well, of course, I'm holding that safe space for my loved ones. I'm holding that same space and that same energy for them. That same self-love, that same self-peace, that same self-abundance and self-acceptance and understanding I'm able to hold for others now. And it's honestly been beautiful. I never thought that I could, get this far with my family, right? And that's one of the things to where I didn't even consciously manifest that closeness with my family again. I didn't. It just kind of happened as I've been working on myself. And there are other things that I'm consciously manifesting, but I am like, I don't want to get too emotional, but I'm like letting you guys know as like a point of caution, like, do trust and know that your negative assumptions and thoughts like will manifest in others. And as you work through your resistance, and as you work through your inner dialogue and your inner everything, and as you realign your energy and realign yourself, I plan to do this channel for a long time. Honestly, like, self-concept and mindset is a lifestyle, like I've said, and I will be here for you if you ever go on your journey. And let's say you discover that underneath all of your self-love, you maybe deeply love somebody. And I will never ever say ever again that I don't believe in manifesting a specific person, because to be honest, now I get it after having gone through my own journey and understanding. And now that I have come to where I have come to internally, it's like, if only I would have thought better of my loved ones, if only I would have thought better of people around me, if only I would have thought better of the one I love, life would have played out differently. But then again, everything is always working out in my favor. Perhaps maybe I needed some space. Perhaps maybe I needed some distance to work on myself, to make this realization. Because to be very honest, when I went on my manifestation and my self-concept journey, I really thought that I was just going to level up and find someone new. Because especially with how like my life has changed now, especially since, I told you all about how I've been quantum leaping and I have so many positive changes. it literally was not even in my awareness when I started really consciously doing this work and like shifting my mindset these past, like, I don't know, like almost like a year or so, that I was gonna just level up, find someone new, and blah 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 blah. But it's like, even after breaking through the biggest resistance that I had, I found out that that actually was not what I wanted. And what I wanted was actually always in front of me. I just did not realize it. And I did not realize how to speak life into it, because I used to not speak life into anything or anyone. So use your assumptions and your expectations to work in your favor. I'm not saying to write off like abusive or like, harmful behavior. Like, obviously, go and find your safety. But I'm talking about, like, if you're pissed off with your boyfriend because he didn't dump the trash, start telling yourself, he always wants to dump the trash. Oh, that's funny. That's odd. I thought he enjoyed this. It's like, I know that saying things like this might seem delusional, but what you're doing is you're rewriting the story internally. And then work through that resistance. So when you want to feel angry and lash out and pop off, you got to regulate your nervous system. There has never been anything good that has come from a heated argument. Okay? Especially those heated arguments that turn overly emotional and possibly even violent. There has never been anything positive that's come out of a heated damn argument, ever. Ever. It just leads to more of them, to where even you're broken up. Start rewriting the story, or start talking to your partner like a partner. Hey, sweetie, I really don't like it when you forget to dump the garbage. I really don't appreciate that. I know you probably didn't mean to do it on purpose. However, bop, 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 and this would make me feel better. Like, talk to each other like people, instead of flipping into the negative assumptions, the negative thought patterns, to where some shit spirals and fucks around and might ruin your life, especially when you know that that's not what you want. Take it from me, because I am speaking from experience. And I do love you guys. And I'm proud of myself for not getting emotional. It's just because coming to my recent realizations, your girl's been a bit shook. But it's okay, because we all learn, grow, and we move forward. And we live better lives because of it. So I'll see you in the next one.